I, female, 28 years old, am married to another woman, Lily. Lily and I have been married for about 3 years now. We love each other so much, and every day still feels like our first date. However, lately our relationship has been strained because she wants to give our daughter a name that I hate. I am the one who is going to give birth to our baby. However, our baby is hers too. Since before we were married, we had agreed that she could name our first baby whatever she wanted, and I would name our second child. She has reviewed baby names and told me about some, but I really hadn't paid much attention until a couple of weeks ago when I was working on something. And she was talking to me about the 2 names she had decided on. She mentioned Jocelyn, and then I laughed and asked if it was some kind of joke. She asked me why it would be a joke, and I understood that she was being serious. The problem with Jocelyn is that it is the name of the person who bullied me for at least 5 years in a row. It was the kind of situation where your bullies pretend to be your friends and say, "It's all a joke," so many times that even you believe it. I ended up really affected by that whole situation. Bullying was practically every day. Jocelyn and other girls made cruel jokes about me, about my weight/body/face, about how stupid and clumsy I was. They would open the bathroom door when I was in it and hold it behind it, so I couldn't close it. They would hide my clothes and punish me by not talking with me for days until I cried and asked them to stop ignoring me. Cruel things. I had therapy, and Lily is aware of this situation, and I thought she understood because she was also bullied when she was a child. I asked her a second time if she was kidding, and she said no. She said she had always thought it was a cute name. So I said, "You know, you won't name my daughter after my bully, right?" And she replied that the baby was also her daughter, that I should give a new meaning to that name and learn to love it because she had always wanted to name her future daughter that way. She said, "Consider it. Maybe it will heal something in you. We're not little girls anymore." The comment bothered me, so I told her that there was nothing to consider. We started an argument about this that came to screaming and crying, mostly my crying. Then she said she needed air and left the house. When she came home, we were both calmer, we apologized, and she promised that she would consider more options if I also considered the name she wants. So I said yes, but I wasn't going to until we talked, or fought, again last week, and she said she was hurt because I didn't take her opinion into account and just refused, and she wanted me to apologize. She said that I was acting like a child. She also mentioned that I wasn't a little girl anymore, so I should face it and not make a problem out of it. I've come to think that I did take it too far, and I'm the idiot for clinging too much to the past. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1, not the idiot. You can name the first baby, and I'll name the second. Does not mean you can name the first baby literally whatever you want, even if it's something that I find incredibly hurtful. It's upsetting that she's not taking your hurt seriously, and you are not acting like a little girl just because you don't want your daughter to have the same name as someone who was cruel to you. You are not little girls, which is why, as an adult, she needs to be showing more emotional maturity and sensitivity to you. I'm really sorry that you've been made to feel like you went too far or that you're clinging to the past. You are being hurt, and no baby name should be worth hurting your partner like that. I hope your wife gets some sense. Comment 2, not the idiot. Your wife is devoid of compassion. It seems almost as if she's doing this to poke at your most tender and most vulnerable spot. It's cruel to ask you to name your child the same thing as your bully. You need to tell her no on that name. Your original naming agreement isn't going to work because your wife is dismissive of your feelings and disrespectful of your pain. New deal. One of you can lead the naming process for each child, but the other has veto power. Maybe she'd like to name a son Adolf? Why not? Comment 3. Since before we were married, we had agreed that she could name our first baby whatever she wanted, and I would name our second child. Well, I screamed at my wife and called her an idiot too. This was a ridiculous agreement. Naming a child isn't like taking turns to choose what movie you'll watch on Netflix. People that can't even agree on a baby's name shouldn't be having a baby. Everyone sucks here, everybody sucks here. Now, for the next story. So me, 28-year-old, and my wife, 27-year-old, have been married for almost 2 years. We both work full-time, and we both share our finances in one joint account and have 2 separate accounts. Recently, after working my butt off for 5 years, I was able to pay off my student loan, and I also switched to a different company. So my salary also increased 1.5 times more than my wife's. Now, I was pretty excited because I wanted to buy a car, but my wife asked me instead of buying a car, I should help her with her student loan. Now, I was already contributing 65% to our joint account expenses, and I genuinely wanted to buy a car because aside from owning a 200cc bike, I have never owned a car in my life. So, I told my wife that I want to buy a car, which will be helpful to both of us because I can drop pick-up her every day, so she will also save time. Also, we are from Asia, so she takes an auto rickshaw every day for commute, so she can also save that money. Now she is saying that I am prioritizing my car over her and it's unfair. I told her it's not unfair because I have been dreaming about this for a very long time. So am I the idiot here? Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. What's with all the "you're the idiots"? Yeah, marriage is about being a team. But Jesus, people need to still be independent too and claim their own responsibility, and you already contribute 65%. They're her student loans. She took them out on her own the same way you did. She should pay them. You worked your ass off and paid off your own student loans, so should she. You should be able to reward yourself by buying a car. Comment 2. I will never understand marriages like this. Not for me, and it doesn't actually sound like your wife likes this separate account. It's not really a partnership marriage. Why have a marriage where you have a nice car while she struggles to pay off her loans? Sounds like a crappy marriage to me. Comment 3. Not the idiot. I feel like if the genders were reversed, a lot of the "you're the idiot" responses would also be reversed. Reddit would be positively incensed if a man was demanding a woman pay off his student loans. Now, for the next story. I have a friend who is potentially losing her apartment. She has been talking to me about it, and I feel for her. I offered her to come stay with me until she gets back on her feet, if the time comes and she is actually kicked out. The issue is that she has 2 gigantic dogs, and I have a very scared, skittish cat. She has other friends and her own parents who have offered to help with the dogs. So I just added in that the dogs wouldn't be able to live with me because my cat would be living in a constant state of fear. She lost it. She went off on me and blocked me on everything. Am I the idiot? Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. She blocked you. Problem solved. Not the idiot. I seriously can't understand these people who are literally on the verge of being homeless that think they can make demands on other people's houses. The dogs wouldn't even be homeless. Your cat is a priority for you. It's not fair to him to be scared because 2 big dogs suddenly moving in. Even for you, it would be a big change. Your so-called friend was entitled and ungrateful. She didn't want to be apart from the dogs? Okay, all she had to say was, "Thank you for the offer, but I can't be away from my dogs. I will arrange another solution." But she chose to block you. Take her hint. Comment 2. Not the idiot. It's the cat's home. Her feelings matter. It is not your friend's home. You are doing her a favor. You aren't telling her to give up her dogs for good, just to temporarily use one of the many options where they could live apart from her, but she could still visit. And people who get cross with you because the favor you are doing for them doesn't meet their exact terms are trash. You don't need a friend like that. Comment 3. Not the idiot. You are offering your home to her, and the least she can do is to thank you and compromise, especially because you have a cat. Now, for the next story. So I work at a daycare center that happens to be short-staffed at the moment. My official job title is supervisor, freshly promoted. I was the supervisor for a closing shift, a particularly hectic one, and I had gotten stressed because all of the parents were coming in to pick up their kids at once. In the middle of the rush, a parent came in needing to use our restroom badly. One of those parents who hardly ever says anything, just a thank you, out the door. also on a very expensive unlimited package plan with us. The problem was one of our trusted employees, Jo, a front desk lady, had gotten someone to come up front to help her so she could use the restroom. At the exact same time as our parent, the guy had to go so badly he said he needed to wait for our bathroom. He was doing a dance with his legs and clearly uncomfortable. Basically, I hurried to knock on the bathroom door and told Jo to come out so the parent could use the bathroom, take his kid, and leave. Jo came out looking upset, but I ignored it and told the guy waiting to use it. I figured since she called someone up front to take her spot, she could just wait and use it right after our customer left. That's what she did. I thought everything was fine, but she confronted me after everyone else had left about being disrespectful towards her and how it upset her to be thrown out of the bathroom after she'd been up front for a long time dealing with customers. I tried to explain I wanted to put the customer first to make us appear better, as well as clear the crowded lobby and get a kid home quicker. I was stressed with how the day had gone previously and apologized, but she still seemed upset with me. She told me since she'd been at the company for far longer than me, and because she was much older than me, she deserved respect from me. I think this may cause tension in the future, because I didn't know what to say. That's how it ended, and I haven't had to work a shift with her since. But I just want to know, was I the idiot in this scenario? Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. You're the idiot. If you are in the United States, virtually every state has a Human Rights Act that requires employers to provide for their employees necessary human comforts. This is a fancy way to say that you need to make sure that they have a pot to piss in when needed. So, way to go. Your actions may have been illegal. Even setting the law aside, you used your authority as the boss to kick an employee out of the bathroom. You are now literally the boss under whom your workers cannot even take a piss without permission. You already said that you are short-staffed. Do you think you are going to retain your workers if you are seen as a tyrant? Being the AH right now should be the least of your worries. Stop with the BS about putting a customer first and reflect on the fact that you have acted completely incompetent in your role. Comment 2. You're the idiot. A failure to plan on the customer's part does not constitute an emergency on Jo. The bathroom was in use, and it is your role as a supervisor to support your employees. Kicking one out of the bathroom is in poor form and a misuse of your position. I'd be complaining to HR about you if I were Jo. Supervisor fail. Comment 3. You're the idiot. The dude can wait. You totally overstepped. Customer-centric focus is one thing. Kicking someone out of a restroom is being the pale. Jo's line that she deserves respect from you because she's older is nonsense. But nobody of any age deserves that kind of disrespect. Now, for the next story. My daughter's husband has ADHD. I am aware of ADHD and the nuances and symptoms since my daughter has it as well. But, at least from my point of view, he does nothing to cope or combat it in any way. As a result, I have witnessed him acting extremely negligent to his duties as an adult partner. I don't mean emotionally or anything, because they can be very sweet together. I mean he's 100% the type of guy who has to be asked 5 times to take the trash out and still doesn't do it. Every house chore falls onto my daughter. Even right after she gave birth, he didn't do a single load of laundry, a single dish, walk the dog, or change a diaper. He works full-time to support them while my daughter takes care of the baby, which is nice, but outside of that, he does nothing to contribute to their life from what I've seen. He is oblivious to the fact that she's speaking to him half of the time, and she ends up just sitting there talking to herself while he stares at his phone or spaces out. All of which he attributes to his ADHD, claiming he has executive dysfunction, or that he gets sidetracked, overwhelmed by multiple chores, and starts to get frustrated. She has to call his name over and over again, repeatedly say, "Hello, I'm speaking to you," for him to even glance up from his phone when she's sitting 2 feet away from him. He's so not in tune with his surroundings that if the baby cries and she asks him to pitch in and help, he expects to be told what's wrong with the baby, how to help, where to find everything, because he wasn't paying any attention. So if she needs him to help with the baby, she's still not getting whatever else she needs to get done finished, because she's standing there and walking him through step by step, repeating herself, and still doing 100% of the mental load. She seems so frustrated and upset. I watched this happen on countless visits, and I just had enough of it this time. I watched for a week while my daughter did everything, cooked every meal, cleaned everything, did every feeding, changed every diaper. She did it or I did it, and not once did her husband even offer to help or notice. When we did things all together, he was constantly talking over my daughter, zoning out, or completely not even paying attention, and she has to repeat herself over and over again. Finally, I snapped, cleared my throat, and asked, "Why are you ignoring your wife when she's talking to you?" He started scrambling and trying to explain that it's just that he has ADHD and can't help it. And I told him that having ADHD doesn't give him an excuse to treat my daughter like she's invisible, and if that's the extent to which it affects him, he needs to see a doctor and get medication. His face got really red and he looked like he was about to cry. And I have to admit that I do feel bad for that, but at the same time, I think he needed to know. My daughter is saying she agrees, but says that I owe him an apology for my tone, or I won't be invited back to visit. Am I the idiot? If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day. Have a great